Hello folks, hope you are having a wonderful day. I know I am, or I'm trying to. Getting lots of grading and marking done today. So, I thought I'd take a break and record one of my scripts that I've been working on over the weekend, and this one was a real blast to work on. First of all, if you like what I do, the subscribe button is down below, the Patreon button is down below, or you can become a member of the channel if you want to support the channel in a more monetary fashion. And if you do so, you'll be entered into the prize draw, and on Sunday, the 2nd of July, that's this Sunday, we will be doing the prize draw live on stream, and the top prize for that will be £50 worth of models from COMPOSITE Games. I don't care what you ask for, it should be on there, and you should be able to get it. And I don't care where you are in the world. If they can't send it to you for some reason or another, I will be able to send it to you. It will get sent here, and I'll send it to you myself at my own expense as a thank you for supporting the channel. So, if you want to be involved, you need to be a member of the Patreon or a member of the channel at any tier. Doesn't matter how much you give, as long as you're in there, you are entered into the prize draw. And on Sunday, we're going to have a really fun time, a nice long live stream where we're going to be doing the prize draw, and then lots of gaming and chilling out and talking. And hopefully, we're also going to do a charity drive on the stream. It means any money that you give to the stream doesn't go to me, it will go to a mental health charity, probably Movember or something like that, to help men with mental health issues going forward. So, going to try that on Sunday, see how it works out. Now, positivity in the hobby is something that has been in very short supply over recent months and years, let's be honest. There are a lot of us out there who are a bit disillusioned with how Games Workshop act and how they go about their normal business plans. Not without credence, I think. I think there's a lot of us who are quite reasonable in how what we expect Games Workshop to do. But this is a video that I'm very happy to be doing. It's about time we celebrate 40k for what it is. A place to let your imagination go absolutely nuts. This is making 40k your own. In my opinion, the best part of the hobby. Now, you know exactly the feeling that I'm talking about if you like 40k. Reading a codex or a story based in the setting, or playing a video game based in the setting, or these days, watching a lore channel maybe. Your mind starts racing, and you start thinking of ways to blend your own forces and characters into this vast tapestry set before you of a setting. A tapestry of a setting that literally says, hey, you're welcome to add things here. This is why, for instance, the 2nd and 11th Legions in Horus Heresy will never be revealed. They are for you to decide what they are and to write about. It's also a very good reason why Games Workshop very rarely kill off entire chapters of Space Marines or entire craft worlds of Eldar, because they know that you may have spent hours and hours and hours creating an army from those places or with those names that they don't want to mess with. This is one part of Games Workshop's message and drive that absolutely is completely right, and most of the time they get it spot on. And it is the main reason why they are so successful as a company, and I kind of wish sometimes they would recognise that a little bit more. They are dedicated, at least in their lore, to allowing you to spread your wings creatively. This is a creative hobby, first and foremost. From writing background to your army and characters, to painting these beautiful miniatures, to even making tournament-breaking lists of daring do. All of it requires a problem-solving and creative mind, whether you're going to a tournament to try and win it with really cool rules, or whether you're writing some really obscure lore for your Tau sub-faction. The best parts of 40k and beyond for me are when the hobby taps in to these vast reservoirs of creative energy and you can come up with something that is solely your own. That is when 40k for me is at its absolute very best. And sometimes I think that we can have a bit of adversity between people who think like me and people who are more analytical and who are more on the gaming side of things. There's nothing wrong with that. The gaming side people are still here because of the lore. Nobody, and I will say this right now, I go out on a limb, and there'll be always somebody in the comments who says, actually I'm one of those people, just to prove me wrong, because this is YouTube. But I will go out on a limb now and say there is almost nobody in this hobby at all who got into the hobby without looking at the lore, right? And by the way, artwork is lore. So if you looked at artwork, or you read anything about the lore and you said that's pretty cool, or you were told anything about the lore and thought that's pretty cool, you got into the hobby through the lore, my friend. I don't think anybody ever picks up a rule book and goes, this is a cool game, I like these rules. That's a cool army in this game, I like those rules. Okay, I'm now a 40k player. No one does that. On some level, the lore brings you into 40k. Whether you've played a video game, whether you've listened to an audiobook, you've read a book, you've read an article, you've seen a bit of artwork, you've had a friend talking to you about how cool this game is and how cool the setting is. They've all come together to bring you into the hobby through the lore, through the stories. Imagine how powerful it would be to make your own character in said stories and setting. A bit of a tangent for now. This is why, right, I'm going into video games. Let me go into video games for just a minute for a really cool example. This is why I don't really class an RPG computer game as an RPG, by the way, is a role-playing game. That's what I'm going into now, role-playing games. This is why I don't really class a role-playing computer game as a role-playing game unless it lets you create your own character. That's my main thing with a role-playing game. If a game doesn't let you do that, it's not a role-playing game for me. Diablo 4, for instance, is more of an RPG, a role-playing game, than The Witcher 3, one of the most celebrated RPGs, quote-unquote, to ever hit the market. That's not to say games that don't do this are bad. I'm not saying games that don't let you create your own character are bad. Not at all. Some are pretty amazing, and I love playing them. My favourite game of this decade so far was Ghost of Tsushima, for instance, and you can't create your own character there, right? But they are not role-playing games, and there is a reason why role-playing games are the most celebrated and highest-grossing games of all time. Don't believe me? There'll be a few of you saying, actually, they're not. No, yes, they are. GTA 4 Online, that's an RPG. At least the online portion of it is. That's a role-playing game. If you play GTA 4 Online, past all the griefing, you're playing your own character, doing things in the world that you want to do. You're defining your own role. You are playing a role-playing game. It's the highest grossing piece of entertainment of all time, and it's a role-playing game. Skyrim, a similar, ultimately high-grossing piece of media. It blasts nearly every other game out the water in terms of how much money it's made. That's a role-playing game, right? All the Diablo, Divinity, Mass Effect, Dragon Age, and Fallout games, huge licenses that financially outpaced almost anything else out there. They are all role-playing games. Why do I bring this up? 40k at its best taps into the same energies, the same places in our minds that let us create wonders that these games do. The world is ours to play in, rather than a backdrop against which a story plays out. That's why this part of 40k is so powerful, at least to me. At least to me. You know? And I wish Games Workshop would put more effort into exploring this and making sure that we have the tools. They used to, by the way. Back in the day, the old Imperial Guard Codex, if you are one of the old heads like me, had a really cool section where they spent 10 to 11 pages literally telling you how to build your own regiment and make it your own. They showed you what different home worlds they could be from, what kind of regiment they could be, what kind of specialties they could be. They gave you ideas for modelling tips and how to get your models looking perfect for the kind of regiment that you wanted, and they even gave you tips on how to write the lore background. They even gave you tips on what kind of an Imperial Guard force would be on a Death World, for example, or what would be on a Feudal World, right? They gave you all these key writing jumping off points because the people in the hobby at that stage, the people at Games Workshop writing those books, knew where the pay dirt was. The pay dirt is tapping into your creativity and saying, hey man, do you like bayonets? Yeah, I like bayonets. Cool. Do you like sci-fi? Yeah, I love sci-fi. Do you like Starship Troopers? Yeah. Do you want to create your own Starship Troopers, guys, and have them, like, go against these huge Tyranid monsters? Yeah! Oh, there you go. There's your book. There's your book, dude. Fucking go ham. Go for it. Have fun. That should be where the value of codexes lie. Not in rules, not in gamey nonsense. They should lie in making your army your own and tapping into your own creativity. There is a reason why these games outsell literally everything else on the market that's not called FIFA or Fortnite. Right? And GTA 4 did outsell those two, by the way, and that was an RPG. The online portion of it was an RPG. Okay? So, it's alright me sitting here and saying these things and gesticulating and throwing my arms around, but as I always like to do, I always like to give you an example of this thing working in real time. So, I'm going to show you a personal example about the Astral Blades, the chapter, the channel Space Marine chapter, and a transformative process I hit upon relatively recently, and by recently, I mean over the weekend. So, these are the Astral Blades. As you can see, they're purple, they're beautiful, they look like gold warriors. They're not done yet, as you can see from the bases and certain highlights that I haven't finished on the models, but they look really, really cool, at least for me. Sword is a bit comically big, but at the time, that was the lion sword. So at the time, my guy had the lion sword. He doesn't anymore. I've changed it to just a big fiery sword. But anyway, pretty cool, and I love the Astral Blades. I love their lore, or at least I did, until I found a better idea. Now, what is that, you ask? What could that be? Well, a little while ago, you may know who you are. In the comment section down below, let me know if this was you. I had a guy on one of the Astral Blades lore videos say, "Hey man, do you mean these Astral Blades? Are they the same chapter?" And I was like, no, I don't think so. Let me look at that. And I looked at this. Now let's read this together. Bear in mind, my Astral Blades are a loyalist chapter. Okay? Cool. So, the Astral Blades were formerly a loyalist Space Marine chapter of unknown founding and origin. In 121 M37, they were led down the path to chaos by their prideful chapter master, who had been possessed by the demon Etherek the Unrepentant. The demon's servants used sorcery to possess almost every battle brother within the chapter's subterranean fortress monastery one by one, slaughtering those strong enough to resist. As the blood of the last of the fallen was still cooling, the possessed marines plundered the chapter's gene seed stores and set off for the Eye of Terror. However, within their battle barge, Sword of Stars, when it reached high orbit, the Grey Knights were waiting for them. In the furious battle that ensued, Grey Knight Terminators teleported onto the bridge of the battle barge and banished Etherek back to the warp in the midst of a furious melee. Broken in body and spirit, the chapter master of the Astral Blades accepts the Emperor's mercy delivered at the hands of his saviours. Nothing else is known about this obscure chapter in official Imperial records. Right, and as you can see, this is all from the Codex Grey Knight 7th edition, right? So. I knew I'd seen this name before, and that's why I'd named my chapter something like the Astral Blades, because I thought it was a cool name. But I've tried for months to try and reconcile the Astral Blades with this lore quirk, with this fact that they were, they were Astral Blades, and now they're gone, and now they're back again, and they've been reinstated by the Order Malleus as a kind of chamber militant, is what the Astral Blades became, right? As you know from their own lore. So they became a, shall we say, when the Grey Knights go to a world and they know there's demons down there, but they don't want to annihilate the entire planet, if there is an Astral Blade company within earshot, they will go and send the Astral Blades because they're very, very good. Piss off. They are very, very good at killing demons, right? The Astral Blades are very, very good at killing demons, so the Grey Knights would supervise it from orbit and send them down to go and either capture or kill these demons for study or to just annihilate them, right? Cool, that's what the Astral Blades were. They were factored into the Order Malleus. They're not officially a part of it, but they're kind of the same way the Minotaurs obey the instructions of the High Lords of Terror. Well, the Astral Blades are very similar, but for the Order Malleus and the Grey Knights, right? Cool, excellent. That was their lore, but there was something off about it. I didn't like the fact that the Astral Blades name was tainted like this in the background. I just didn't like it. It just didn't work. And so I said, you know what, why don't I put the Astral Blades to one side and I say that's one version of this chapter that we're going to do for the channel. That's one version. You can play whatever version you want. This one currently has a full codex. It's out there for 9th edition. There will be another one for 10th when it comes out. But yeah, it's all out there. It's all ready for you to go and do. But I wanted to do something else. And so I went looking for another chapter to maybe build my models around. And I found one. These are the Silver Sabers. They are loyalist. Let's have a read, shall we? The Silver Sabers is a Codex Astartes compliant loyalist Space Marine chapter of unknown founding and origin. Almost nothing is known about this chapter in current Imperial records, which is good for us. Following the events that took place on the world of Vospis, the chapter's current status is unknown. That is also good for us. So, what happens at Vospis? Well, the Battle of Vospis, 984 M41. In 984 M41, a warp rift opened above the feudal world of Vospis. The beleaguered defenders, their technological levels so low that they still relied on polearms and metal armour, were easy prey for the demon invaders. An astropathic distress call reached the Silver Sabers Space Marine chapter, whose chapter planet, Mercuria, was less than a light year distant. Unfortunately for Vospis, demons hunting the skies above the planet's besieged castles destroyed almost all of the drop pods launched down to the surface. A single Silver Saber Space Marine survived and rallied the people as Vospis, reigniting their potent faith in the Emperor. Slowly, day by gore-soaked day, he began to turn the tide. How fucking cool is that? That's Doom Guy. That is Doom Guy in a medieval sci-fi setting. That's cool as shit. That is cool as shit. And I want to tell the story of that Marine rebuilding the Silver Sabers later on. I want to tell that story. That is my current journey of writing and Warhammer 40,000. If you listen to the passion in my voice, that is some cool ass shit right there. I'm claiming it. The Silver Sabers are now a part of the chapter's pantheon. They are our chapter, right? You can write whatever you want, do whatever you want with them, no problem. But I will be doing videos on the Silver Sabers going forward, because that is cool. That is awesome. We also have a Deathwatch captain down here who I might work into the thing a little bit later on. But this is awesome. That is literally Doom Guy in the 40k setting, and I found him in some obscure wiki somewhere, just reading around, you know, having a little look, seeing what's there, and I came across this chapter that I know would be perfect for writing some Astral Blades quote-unquote lore, as in reworking the Astral Blades to be something a bit different. Now, I honestly think this Space Marine right here fits this story a lot better than the Astral Blades story. If I was going to have a model that looked like that guy on that world, killing loads of demons, he would look something like that. You know? That's cool as shit. And that's right up my alley. And that's why 40k is the best. Because it gets this kind of passion out of people. So, the best part of 40k for me is not just building these stories, but sharing them, which is what the Discord is there for, and what my channel's here for as well, to share your cool stuff. The first actual story I ever put down to paper was in early high school. This is the first time I ever wrote something of any significance whatsoever. So at that time, in year 7, as in, you know, we're 11 years of age in high school, so it would be middle school, I guess, in the US, we were doing exams. They're not major ones, they just decide what sets you go in for the following year, you know? And you can always change your set by performing very well. You can change your set and go up sets. So it didn't really matter. As long as you didn't flunk the entire thing, you're okay, right? And no, I don't think anybody ever really did flunk the entire thing. Even if you were really dumb, you were not in the bottom set. The bottom set was for people with severe learning difficulties. Not that they're dumb, But like, if you're a normal person and you're in a class like that, you are kind of dumb. Moving on. No, I'm not saying people with learning difficulties are dumb. They're not, right? They have learning difficulties. That's why they're in that class. But if you are a normal operating mental person and you're in that class, you shouldn't be there, right? Again, moving on. So the first actual story I ever put down to paper was in early high school. We were doing exams, not major ones, but between them, we had to just sit there in silence. So if you finished early, you had to just sit there, doing nothing, right? I know, it sucks. Invariably, these exams were quite easy. I'm not a genius by any level, but, you know, everybody was just sitting there, just in silence, not doing anything, and I was getting really bored. Me and my two best friends at the time were really into 40k, and so one day, after the history exam was done, I was bored and asked for some more paper and some pens. Okay? I wrote a story about the Emperor meeting Marnius Calgar. I know, complete nonsense of course, lore-wise, but I didn't know that, I was 11. But I was really proud of my 3 entire pages of A4 paper. I had no idea I could do this. I had no idea I could write this quickly and this eloquently. I put down an entire story on 3 pieces of A4 paper. For an 11-year-old, you know, that's pretty cool going. And when I brought it home to my grandpa, he was a little taken aback, because he always used to pick me up from school. And when I showed him this and he read it in the car, he just thought, he had this look on his face like, how did this 11-year-old write 3 sides of A4 and a complete story at that in a single hour? I only had 1 hour and I wrote 3 sides. That's when I started writing. That's when I started getting better, and that's when I found the love that would last hopefully the rest of my life. That's the power of 40k as a setting, and that's why I fucking love it. What do you guys think? Have you come across anything in the hobby that's really, really, really tickled your fancy in terms of being a creative person? Do you reckon you'd be a worse person without 40k, like I would be? Let me know in the comment section down below. It is good to finally talk about something positive on the channel when we've had so many negative things over the past couple of weeks, but here we are, talking positive about 40k and Games Workshop as a whole, because without them, we don't have this to talk about. That's something very, very, very important. They may do missteps, but by and large, they do support this kind of lateral thinking in the creative space. So, should they do more of it? How would you have them do more of it? Let me know in the comment section down below, and let me know your first memories of being creative in Warhammer 40k. I love you all a long time. I will speak to you tomorrow for some more Hobby Nightmares. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you then. Have a good one. Bye.